Well, if you guys haven't noticed, we've been inundated with new music these past couple of weeks, and I feel like I've been trying to do a mad dash to the finish line for a lot of these reviews. So I figured I'd take a little bit of time and pump out a few of these quarter notes. So over the next couple of weeks, I'll be putting out one of these quicker album reviews where even though I sometimes really enjoyed these albums, I didn't have a whole lot to say to cover a full length album review. So that's where we're going to get into this style. Now, I've already done a couple of these quarter notes and I've really enjoyed doing them, and it seems like you guys have enjoyed watching them. So let's dive in. I'm going to be talking about 4 albums, and yeah, that's about it. So let's dive into the first one. All Is Numbers by Phideaux. So as you guys should know, I am a huge fan of Phideaux. I pretty much, like, if Phideaux releases a new album, I am there for it, and I am there to sing its praise from the highest mountaintops. And All His Numbers is a reworking of, I guess, a project that he did back in the 80s. And I guess another individual came on and mastered it and organized it and released it into this double disc set. And what it is essentially a tonal music. It's, yeah, very... I struggle with the word of like tones overlaid, very experimental, playing with different sounds, and it's rightfully said that on the sleeve of this album, it says no music is found on this project, and it's very true. The first disc, because it's 2 discs, the first disc is just one track of like over an hour's worth of this tone music, trying different things. Things come in and leave. It very feels like somebody's like on just a keyboard, just randomly pushing buttons just to see what kind of comes out. And the second track has, I believe, like a 10-minute track and then like a 20-minute track, and it essentially does the same. There's very little variations between these tracks, and that was something of a little bit of a letdown. Like, I do enjoy this style of music if it leads to something brilliant. Like, I love those chaotic resolutions. Like, we're looking at Pink Floyd's Saucer Full of Secrets, say the last 2 tracks from I, Robot from Alan Parsons. We're looking at The Waiting Room from Genesis on their Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. So I'm all in favor of these really long stretches of just chaos, as long as it leads to something tangible, as long as it leads to something very heavenly and divine. And I never got there. I mean, Tangerine Dream is great at providing this style of music where it's very soundscapes, it's very overlay of textures, but it always went somewhere. There was always a direction, and I just felt like there wasn't anything here. So I hate to give this rating to a Phideaux album, but honestly, it is a skip. It's one that only like those die-hard Phideaux fans such as myself would really run out and find, or if you're into this type of experimentation within music. So yeah, that's what I've got for All His Numbers from Phideaux. Curve Axis Symmetry from Lunear. So Lunear is a smaller progressive rock band that I've covered in the past. They were one of the first bands to reach out to me and send me a couple of their albums way back in the day. And they've done the same thing here. And when a band reaches out and provides their own music, I get a lot of those. I really do. I received this a number of weeks ago, and I just because of so many new music, I put it on the shelf. And yesterday I decided to finally put this on, and I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't put this on very sooner. This album is brilliant, you guys. Like, this one gets the full seal of approval for the notes. Like, it gets notes seal of approval. I'm loving the drive, the essence. It's rocker, it's engaging, it's never too heavy, but it's always on the edge of just going completely insane. Some of the standout tracks from this album are Earth's Population 1. I really love Same Player Shoots Again. And finally, the final 2 tracks of Forever and First Death Epilogue. I wish I had a little bit more time with this album to really dive into the overall concept of the album, because I feel like there's such a brilliant concept and storyline that unifies all these tracks together. All I have to really say about this album is I was thoroughly surprised, and I know I'm going to return to it. Go and check it out if you're looking for a hard rock, progressive rock outfit. You're not going to be disappointed with what you find on this album. As I mentioned, it already has the Note seal of approval, so definitely go out and check it out. This is one that easily a download to a pick it up in physical format. Definitely writing those 2 lines there. So yeah, that's what I have to say about Lunear.
Not like you do to me, cross this imagination with your burst.
Thousand Hands, Chapter 1 from Jon Anderson. So, Jon Anderson, legendary singer from Yes, has a new solo album. And I find with Jon Anderson, like, I love Shadows of Sun Hollow, one of my all-time favorite records. Some of his other stuff, though, just, oh boy, it's a task to try to get through. And luckily for Thousand Hands, it's predominantly a positive listen. It really, harkens back to that early 70s hippie progressive rock that I love from Yes. The symphony of sounds and noises that Jon is able to orchestrate, like the man is able to construct a brilliant, textured and layered piece of music. This is of no exception. And because it's chapter 1, I'm wondering if there's going to be like a chapter 2, 3 or something else, but it was a very, very pleasant listen. And pleasant is a very accurate description of this album because it's just good feels. It's the good vibes that I was really hoping for, because Jon doesn't really do a whole lot of hard-hitting negative stuff. Like the darkest album from the band in their heyday was probably Drama, and that's when he left. Other than that, I think Relayered might be the heaviest one out of them, and darkest. So yeah, I found myself really, really enjoying this album, but I mean, at the end of the day, I didn't really find a whole lot of tangibility, and that's always the risk that Jon runs with this type of ethereal, angelic, otherworldly styles of music, where it's very heavenly, it's very cloudy, it's very airy. The risk you run with that is it's harder to hang on to those tracks that are in that type of music. So yeah, this is an album that I would download for sure. I found myself coming back to it when I needed that type of just good vibes, because I've needed a lot of good vibes lately. So yeah, that's what I have to say about Thousand Hands. If you're a fan of Jon's work and you're a fan of Yes, definitely go check this out for sure. And if you're looking for a prog piece that has that good vibes and you found that prog these days is just too heavy and menacing, this is the perfect album for you. So go and check it out.
We're one of a kind, no category.
The original Broadway cast recording studio album of 6. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, I am a huge musical Broadway fanatic. Like, I love me some Broadway. My collection is littered with musicals of all eras, and this latest one of 6 really blew me away. Like, I friggin' love this album, and I've been trying to find a way to talk about it without doing a full-length album review. It's very like girl power, Spice Girls essence, but 6 being the 6 wives of King Henry VIII. So each wife has their own song, and there's an opening track, a closing track, and a mid track that allows the girls to kind of take a little bit of a breather, or at least sing as one. And I love the personalities of each of the wives on here. And I love the different styles that we have. Like, I remember somebody saying, and this might have been from Musical Splaining, a podcast that I've been loving, where it's Spice Girls meets The Lonely Island, because their turn of phrase is just brilliant. And I found myself in stitches more than once, specifically with the House of Hovine. I love that it's like a house dance remix, very German, very like, oh yeah. And I love again, the turn of phrase where it's like, turn this fear into a 9, playing on the fact of like this was the 4th wife, so there's fear, there's 4, and fear being the English word of scared, 9 being no, don't do it, but at the same time 9 being like the numerical number of a beauty, where essentially this painter painted. Anyway, I'm getting into the whole history of the whole thing. But I also love, her track of Get Down, where it's very like boss bitch. Again, like all the other Ys have their moment to shine, as I already mentioned. I love The Heart of Stone, where it's very heartfelt. It's the big, in some respects, the big showstopper movement, where this is the wife that died in childbirth. But I also love how Pump Up the Jam everything is on this. Like, I really love All You Want to Do, how fun it is and how hard hitting it is. But really, the standout track is the first and the last track of Ex-Wives and 6. I find myself just blasting the title track of 6 over and over and over again. I can't get enough of that. Rating this would be a huge challenge because in some respects, musically, this would be somewhere along like a download, but honestly, I love this album with my whole heart because I found myself coming back to it so many times. Like, this really was the soundtrack to my summer. Whenever I needed something as a pick-me-up, I found myself going to this one more often than not. So yeah, there you go. Those are the 4 albums that I'm covering today on my quarter notes. I've got a number of quarter notes coming up. I hope to look at Deep Purple's new album. I hope to look at Maru's Duda from Riverside, his new album. I'm really hoping to finally talk about Fractal Sun and Arabs in Aspic, because they've put out some brilliant music, and also cover some music that some bands have reached out to me for. I've got one from Tiger Fire as well as The Missing Worker, so look out for those coming in the next couple of weeks. But what did you guys also think about these albums? What are other albums that you want me to cover? Let me know about all that by commenting down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.